All right, well, an unsettling link to a Nazi past. The Reimann family, which controls the consumer goods conglomerate JAB Holding, found past family members were reportedly Hitler supporters who allowed the abuse of forced laborers in the 1930s and the 1940s, according to German tabloid Bild. The privately held company owns consumer brands like Panera and Krispy Kreme donuts. JAB addressing the news, saying the family members involved have both passed away and deserve to be in prison. It's also planning to donate $11 million to a yet-to-be-named charity. Guys, an interesting story, just the way that it started out as a family wanting to know a little bit more about its past, found some dark secrets, those secrets now known to the public, but now the family trying to make things right. And I don't know if $11 million is enough. It's not. I don't really know how you even talk about this question, because it's the first time that I think someone is paying because they don't feel good about what they found in their family history.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to the question whether or not $11 million is sufficient. I think a lot of people out there would say no, that they need to do more than just donate $11 million. But I think when you and I were talking before the show, the one interesting thing is that JAB Holdings is not the only company that does have ties to Nazis. If you go back and look at companies' histories, just to name a few, Daimler, which is the parent company of Mercedes, in terms of forced labor that they used during the war, they used nearly 40,000 forced laborers towards the end of the war. VW, another auto giant, a similar, using 12,000, including concentration camp prisoners. And then you also have Deutsche Bank, a big bank there, one of the companies that profited from businesses being taken from their Jewish owners. So I think this also begs the question as to whether or not some of these other large corporations should also be donating money, if that is the right thing to do, to certain causes in order to try and rectify the past. And I don't really know the answer to that, whether or not that is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think you could look at it and say that maybe it is. At least JAB Holdings in this case is doing something, trying to right the wrong as best they can. Obviously, they're not going to be able to, but as best they can is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I was thinking if I were still in a company and were confronted with this issue or on the board of this company, how would I think about it? And I do think, to your point, Sean, I mean, you have to act quickly. You know, hopefully they acted quickly. Their words seem sincere. They seem truly, this is abhorrent. And they're going to be judged on what they do from here. And I think really it's how quickly, when you find this out, are you able to deal with it and address it. I think that's part of our reality in business these days.
So you can't hide from it,
You
clearly.
can't.
But I mean,
and you can't change the past.
You can't
so
change the past.
You have to deal with it. And Beth, like you were saying, to act very quickly, I think, is the real key issue here. And look, if we know everything that is true, it seems like they did, since this was just published on Sunday.
But yeah,
and it's out
when
today.
we talk about these things, though, it is interesting because generally they start with one instance, right? And then questions start to get raised about other companies, and you raised a few that could be facing the same kinds of questions. Ford, another one out there, when we talk about Henry Ford and his connections to Adolf Hitler and what was there and what has been done by that company to kind of maybe not have a lot of people talking about it. But you do wonder if other companies might follow suit in handling it the same way that JAB Holding is when we talk about this issue. Because there are so many companies that are intertwined when you think about the history of anyone who did business in Germany.
Well, history requires context, but the present requires also acting and doing what's right. So, you know, you kind of have to do both of those things if you're running a company.